Every night, a 95-pound black Doberman named Knox planted himself in the doorway of a baby's room and refused to move. Not beside the crib, in the doorway, facing out like he was waiting for something. Brooke thought it was a strange habit, a little too intense, maybe even a problem. Then one morning she pulled up the footage from the camera in her hallway, found the timestamp 3:09 a.m., and finally understood what her dog had been waiting for all along. Brooke Hadley was doing it all on her own. She was 29, raising her son Eli in a small rental house in Frisco, Texas, working from home and stretching every dollar until it screamed. She wasn't looking for a dog. A dog was one more mouth, one more vet bill, one more thing to worry about. What she needed was less to worry about, not more. But on a cold Tuesday night in February, on her way back from a late grocery run, she saw him. A black Doberman, full-grown, tied to a cart corral at the far edge of an empty parking lot off US 380. No collar, no owner, just a frayed rope, an overturned plastic jug, and a dog sitting bolt upright in the freezing wind, watching the doors of the store like he still believed someone was coming back for him. Nobody was coming back for him. Brooke sat in her car for 10 minutes, telling herself to drive away. A 95-pound Doberman, loose in a dark parking lot, was exactly the kind of decision that ends badly, but she couldn't leave him there. She walked over slowly, braced for teeth. Instead, the dog stood, leaned his whole weight gently against her legs, and let out a long, shaking breath like he had been holding it for hours. She named him Knox. Her sister Dana thought she had lost her mind. A Doberman that size? A strange dog with no history in a house with a baby? Dana said it on the phone that first week, plain and sharp. "You have a child, Brooke. You don't know the first thing about that dog. What if you're wrong?" But Brooke wasn't wrong. Knox followed Eli's bouncer from room to room like it was an assignment. When Eli cried, Knox was at the crib before Brooke was out of her chair, and within 2 weeks, the habit started, the one that worried her. Every night, the moment she laid Eli down, Knox walked to the nursery doorway and lay across it, not facing the baby, facing the hallway, facing the front of the house. He stayed there all night, head up, ears working, and he would not be moved. Brooke tried bringing his own bed into the room. He ignored it. She tried shutting him out. He whined and scratched until she gave in. She even mentioned it to the vet, half worried it was anxiety, something neurotic. The vet just shrugged. "Some dogs pick a job," he said. "Looks like yours picked one." I can tell you're still watching but haven't subscribed yet. That stings a little, I'll be honest. Hit subscribe. You'll want to see what this dog did. For the first time since Eli was born, Brooke wasn't lying awake at 2 in the morning listening for sounds. She had a 95-pound reason to sleep. Every night before he settled, Knox walked the whole house, nose to the baseboards, checking the windows, the doors, the closet behind the coats, the way other dogs check their food bowl. Only when he was satisfied that the house was sealed would he take his post in the doorway. Brooke used to find it funny, a rescue with a routine tighter than a night shift security guard. She didn't realize yet that he had been a guard his whole life. He just hadn't had anything worth guarding, until now. What Brooke didn't tell the vet was the other reason it unsettled her. 3 houses on her street had been broken into that winter. Same thing every time. A back door pried open between 2 and 4 in the morning, while the family slept. After the 3rd one, Brooke did what a lot of nervous parents do. She bought a cheap security camera and stuck it in the hallway, pointed at the front door and the nursery, just in case. She told herself she would probably never even look at the footage. She was wrong about that too. For a while, life with Knox settled into something good. He learned Eli's schedule better than Brooke did. He knew the difference between a tired cry and a hurt cry. Eli's first laugh was for Knox, the morning the dog sneezed so hard he startled himself. His first real word wasn't mama, it was a wet, delighted "noke," both arms thrown toward the big black dog in the doorway. And every single night, Knox carried one specific stuffed elephant to the nursery, refusing to settle until it was in the crib. If Eli flung it out, Knox put it back, over and over, like a very large and very serious butler. There was a moment at the park that should have warned her. A man Brooke didn't recognize drifted a little too close to Eli's stroller, just asking the time, nothing more. But Knox stepped sideways, smooth and silent, and put his body between the stranger and the baby. Not aggressive, just there, a wall of muscle that politely ended the conversation. The man left quickly. Brooke apologized for her dog. Knox never even looked at her. He was still watching the man walk away. He had his ridiculous side too. Brooke owned one of those little robot vacuums, and Knox decided early on that the machine was a threat to national security. Every time it bumped toward the nursery doorway, he would rise to his full height, plant all 4 feet, and stare it down until it gave up and turned around. One afternoon, it got stuck against his paw and just sat there spinning. Knox looked at the vacuum, then he looked at Brooke, then he very deliberately lay down on top of it, a 95-pound Doberman holding a robot prisoner of war in the doorway he refused to surrender. The neighbors had their opinions, of course. The woman across the street pulled her kids inside when Knox was in the yard. The man at the end of the block told Brooke flat out that she was irresponsible, keeping a dog like that near a baby. Brooke stopped trying to explain. She had learned you cannot argue someone out of a fear they have decided to keep. So she just kept walking him every evening, past the same windows and the same stairs, the big black dog matching his pace to hers, like they were the only two on the street who understood each other. It was funny, all of it, right up until the night it wasn't. Dana still wasn't convinced. The last time she visited, she watched Knox take his post in the doorway and shook her head. That is not normal, Brooke. A dog shouldn't be that fixated on one spot. Brooke didn't have an answer for her. She only knew that somehow she slept better with him there. 3 weeks later, she found out why. It was a Thursday. Brooke had gone to bed at 11, wiped out, with Eli down and Knox in the doorway, same as always. She slept hard. At some point in the night, she half woke to a sound, a single sharp bark, then silence, and she told herself it was a dream and sank back under. The next morning, something felt off. The back door was unlocked, and Brooke never left it unlocked. There was a muddy smear across the kitchen tile, and Knox was not in his doorway. He was lying flat across the threshold of the nursery, wide awake, watching her with a look she had never seen on him before. Drained, alert, like a soldier after a long night. Her hands were already shaking when she opened the camera app. The footage was stamped 3:09 a.m. For a while, the hallway was just empty and dark. Then the back door eased open and a man stepped inside. A stranger, hood up, moving slow and careful, the way someone moves when they have done this before. He took 3 steps toward the hallway, toward the nursery, toward Eli. Brooke's stomach dropped. She already knew how this part of the story was supposed to go. She had read it in the news 3 times that winter. A sleeping house, an open door, a stranger in the hallway. She wanted to look away from the screen, and she couldn't. And then Knox came out of that doorway like something the man could never have imagined. There was no growl first, no warming. 95 pounds of black Doberman crossed that hallway at a dead run, silent and total, and the man's whole body changed in an instant from hunter to prey. He went backwards so fast he fell over a kitchen chair. Knox didn't bite him. He didn't need to. He planted himself between that man and the hallway, head low, every muscle wound tight, and he held the line. The man scrambled up, hit the back door, and was gone into the dark. The whole thing took 11 seconds. And then, on the screen, Brooke watched Knox do the thing that broke her. He didn't chase the man. He didn't bark in triumph. He turned around, walked straight back to the nursery doorway, lay down across it facing out, and took up the exact post he had held every single night since the day she untied him from that cart. The job nobody gave him. The job he had been ready for the whole time. If that just gave you chills, you already understand what kind of dog we are talking about. When the clip ended, Brooke set the phone down and walked to the nursery doorway, where Knox was still lying, still watching the hall out of habit. She lowered herself to the floor beside him, 95 pounds of the dog the whole world had warned her about, and she pressed her face into his neck and cried. Knox leaned into her the same way he had in that freezing parking lot, like he had been holding his breath for months and could finally let it go. Brooke called the police. An officer named Reyes came out, watched the footage 3 times, and finally sat back. "Ma'am," he said quietly, "we've had a string of these all winter. Most of the time, the family wakes up to find things gone, or worse." He nodded toward Knox in the doorway. "That dog is the reason you and your son woke up to a normal morning." 2 weeks later, Reyes called back. They had picked the man up 3 towns over after he tried the same thing at a house with no dog. He was already wanted in 2 counties, and both of the homes he had hit nearby had small children inside. In 11 seconds, Knox had done what a whole winter of locked doors and porch lights could not. Brooke called Dana that afternoon and sent her the clip. Her sister was quiet for a long time. Then, in a small voice, she said the only thing there was left to say. "I'm sorry, I was scared of him." Some stories are worth sharing because somewhere out there, right now, a family is deciding whether to take a chance on a dog exactly like Knox. Today, Eli is 1.5, and Knox is still in that doorway every single night, facing out on watch. The robot vacuum and the Doberman have reached a fragile peace. The stuffed elephant still gets delivered to the crib on schedule, and Brooke no longer wonders why a tired single mom in a small rental house finally feels safe. She knows exactly why. He weighs 95 pounds, and he chose his job the night she untied him from a shopping cart. Dana comes by every Sunday now, and the first thing she does when she walks in is kneel down and scratch the ears of the dog she was once so afraid of. People look at a black Doberman and they cross the street. They see the breed, the ears, the size, and they decide they already know the story. They almost never stop to think that the dog in the doorway might be the only reason the whole house is still standing. And if your dog ever seems too protective of one spot, one person, one door, don't be so quick to call it a problem. Watch a little longer. They are paying attention to things we cannot even see. Because sometimes the very thing the world is most afraid of is the one thing standing between us and the dark. So tell me the truth. If you saw a 95-pound black Doberman tied to a shopping cart in an empty parking lot at night, would you have stopped for him the way Brooke did? Or would you have driven past like everyone else? Tell me in the comments.